welcome to this week's One Image My Edit. So this week I'm going to be showing you how to remove people from pictures. This is a typical scenario when you've got a lovely picture and you've got people in the way and you just kind of want that opportunity to be able to photograph somewhere like this, without people in it. So obviously if you can't do that, then the next option is to bring it into Photoshop and do some magic. So all you need to do is come up to File and then open up your image. And then what we're going to do is just zoom in by pressing the Command and plus tool. Okay. And then if you hold the spacebar down, it gives you this little hand. You can move around, or you can just use your mouse to scroll around, which is a lot easier. Okay, so there are several ways in which you can get rid of people. Now, I find the simplest way is to use content aware fill. Now, there are some other tools as well that you can use, such as the clone tool. Okay, so you can use that. That's quite a good tool. You can literally just come up with the the option key, select an area, and then just start painting in, and that becomes quite easy and quite simple. The only issue that you do have is that you can get what's known as repeated patterns. So if I just follow these in here, if I just fill the rest of these in here, you can see that we've actually started to create, if you look closely, we've created a pattern there because we've copied that rock, and that rock, and that's what the eye tends to see. It picks up things. Now you can obviously just select an area and just fill that in, and that will kind of help. But you can see there is a kind of a shape and a pattern going on here where it looks like it's been a bit it's been edited. So if I just come back, you'll be able to see that it's only slight, but to a trained eye, we really be able to pick that up quite easily. So what I like to do is to use the lasso tool. So if you use a lasso tool, what you can do is draw around a subject like this, okay, and then go to Edit, Fill, and then when this dialog box comes up, make sure it says Content Aware Fill, press OK, and there you go. Press Command D just to deselect that. Now what that's done is that is used the pixels around the area to fill in the object. So it's using the content around that particular selection to then fill that person in. So it for me, it's a much better result. You can see here, look, we've got more of a realistic end result. So again, you can do this a little bit bigger. So let's select these here and go to Edit, Fill, Content Aware Fill, press OK, and there you go. Command D, we can get rid of that. So that is a much better approach than the previous one, which was the clone tool. So again, if I start doing that, yes, I mean, you can use it to a certain extent. There are certain scenarios when you'd want to use that, but if you look, like I said, you start getting these repeated patterns, so you need to be aware of that. The other option that you've got is there is a bit more of an advanced way of doing this. So you can select the area that you want to fill with the lasso tool, and then if you go to Edit, you'll see down here it actually says Content Aware Fill. Now if you click on that, this is a bit more of an advanced setting, and this enables you to have a preview, and you can then add or take away areas to fill that particular area in. So I can now select this area here, and it's going to use this as a guide. You've got the auto there, you've got custom, which means you have to custom select the areas that you want to select, which can help because it means that you can get a much better overall finish. You can maybe add in this section of the shot here just to help with the textures, and you can just press apply and it will show you what's going to happen there. You press OK. and then Command D, or you can right click deselect. Okay, so that's another way, but when I'm doing stuff like this, it's easier for me just to come up to edit fill. You can press Shift F5, and that will bring it up, and Command D. It's really quick, and to be honest, I don't really need to worry about the using the more advanced method because of this texture here. It actually makes it a little bit easier. So the other one you'll probably use when there's things like trees and things like that. You may want to be using that because it will help with the selection more. Now what you can also find is sometimes when you do this is that it may miss bits off, or for instance if you've got an area like this here where people are around rocks. So let me just sort of select this bunch of people here and then try that. You'll see that it can sometimes go a little bit wrong. So what it's actually done is started to use parts of the rock and parts of the sand, and it's not given us what we want. So in this scenario, this is where you do want to use the clone tool. Okay, and I tend to use it as a soft brush, opacity at 100, flow at 100, and then using the option key to select an area. Okay, you would then make the brush bigger or smaller. So I'll make it a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to work in these areas here. Now when it comes to the edges, so when you start getting to these edges here, we actually want to then increase the hardness of the brush. If you do that, you're going to get a more definite line. So let me come in a little bit closer and show you what I mean. So option key to select an area. Okay, and if we start painting in, we are going to get a definite line, which you can see there. Okay, so this helps when you're really close to objects like that. Right, it just gives you a more definite line and enables you to really pick out the areas that you want. Now sometimes you may then have to change to a soft brush to help with that blend, but the idea is that when you've got objects that close to an area, you need to have a definite line there, otherwise it's not going to look real. It's as simple as that. It won't look real at all. So we can see there. So let's actually take this bit of rock off, because I think that was a copy from that shirt. That actually looks pretty good. Yep. So there you go. So now we could come up to these here and just see if that's helped. We may need to continue doing that to be able to get a good selection, but no, that seems to work. So Command D, and there we go, rid of it. And like I said there, look, that definite line now works. Now sometimes, again, when you're doing stuff like that, you get these repeated patterns. I don't know if you can see, we've got that area there, which is a copy almost of this area here. Okay, so what we can then use is come over to here and use the spot healing brush tool, and we can just click and let go, click and let go. And what this is going to do is blend that in, because up here it says content aware. This is another content aware tool, which is really good for just doing these little bits and bobs here just to blend it in. This helps with the blend. Okay, so you continue just doing that literally all the way across the image, and like I said, sometimes it's a case of going back and forth between a few different tools, but it's quite simple once you get going, and it's quite therapeutic actually as well. So there you go. And like I said here, so this is going to be another area. I might be able to do this section here. It might decide to play. Yeah, okay, so you can see it's starting to go a little bit wonky, so let's get that clone stamp and let's find a definite area. So I'm actually going to take this part out here, and we want to try and get as close to the area as possible because of light and shade and things like that. Now the idea is just to be able to get that separation line. Okay, So I'm actually going to just work around and get these bits out here. And again, we can come in with a different tool in a minute and just tidy it up. So it's all about trying to blend this as good as we possibly can. So now, like I said, now we've got that separation from the rock face, we can then decide what we want to do from here, because this now looks a little bit odd. So let's use the lasso tool again. All right, around there, edit, fill. Now this might actually sample some of the rock. There, okay, Command D. There we go, and that looks pretty good. You could then bring the go back to the clone tool, bring the hardness down of that brush, and just blend this bit in here a little bit. Okay, and you can tidy it up using the spot healing brush tool. So you can just go over here and it will really help blend and get rid of everything. Let's get rid of this rock here, for instance, that you'll see. Okay, but it's repeat patterns is what we're trying to get rid of, because the eye will pick that up really, really easy. So there you go. You can see it's starting to take shape now. So again, let's fill this area in here. So edit, fill, content aware. Okay, Command D to get rid of it. We can take care of them guys later. Let's get rid of him. Remember to get the shadows as well. Otherwise you'll end up with a bit of an odd image. Command D. Okay, and then these kind of people here, we can try and do it as a bulk. Oh, there we go. And just see what it does. Yeah, so that starts to copy the wall up. So that is too much. So we need to go back. So let's just start isolating the people. Okay. There we go. So we've got repeat pattern there. So let's follow this and edit, fill. Hopefully it won't pick up anything too close to it, which it hasn't. And then this I would then use a spot healing brush tool, because we've got a repeat pattern there. Okay, which was just that rock. And then we need to start coming in a little bit closer to these, and we can use the spot healing brush tool on some of the images as well, and it will give you a really help starting point, I suppose. As you can see there, it does help to start with, but then as it gets a little bit more complex, it becomes a little bit harder to do. So this is where you would need the clone tool, and you would start cloning the actual image. Okay, so this here we would just clone through, okay, and try and do as best we can. So it's always good to make a selection from somewhere that's next to the image, and take your time with it. Now I'm not going to continue doing all of these because it will take a little while longer than what you probably want to spend watching me do. So I'm just following and looking at these lines now and seeing, okay, where would these lines sort of naturally be? They'll be across there. I might take this line out here. So again, I'm just observing repeated patterns. All right, and use the spot healing brush tool there just to heal certain parts. Okay, so you get the general idea. You can see there of what we can achieve. Okay, now if you use this tool here, the lasso tool, and you use the more advanced content aware fill on something like this. Oh, sorry, 1 second. So I need to be down to there. Have I got no? Yeah, if you use the more advanced stuff, ignore that. It's because I'm on the custom. If we go back to auto, you can see there's a selection, and that's what you're going to get. So if you click apply and press OK, Command D to deselect, you can see that's where the more advanced one will really help. But if you want it to be really accurate, you would then have to come back in here with, say, the clone tool, and then just bring some of this texture back here, for instance. Okay, but you can see there how powerful that is, and you can see here that this would need filling in along there. Okay, so, and here, look, this is where her head was. So we'll just fill that in, and you can see there we're starting to build up a picture that actually looks, you know, a little bit cleaner and semi-normal. I'm here, so I might as well do these. So again, look, if we draw around, let's just see how good Photoshop's artificial intelligence is, if that can do a good job of that. I suspect it will. Okay, Command D. Now that's not too bad, but it would actually need a lot more work doing to it because it's added rock. So I wouldn't actually use that advanced method in this. I would think about how we can isolate individuals like that. I'd use the edit, fill. Okay, and then I would again, like I did previous, just start using the clone tool to brush things back in and get more of a natural looking result that way. Okay, so I might as well do this because we're here. As long as you're not too worried about your time. There we go. Okay, let's go to edit, fill. Okay, Command D to deselect that. So let's use the clone tool and using the option key just to make a selection, and let's just paint in some of this back. Okay, so again we're looking at patterns here, and let's copy this here. Look, we're just trying to get, there we go, just trying to make this look as realistic as possible. Let's put that edge back in there. Now that's not looking too bad actually. There, okay, and maybe I would think about some of these textures of these rocks here, because some of them are a little bit soft. We could maybe just add that back in there. I think that'd be good to go. And then we've got just these guys here. So again, let's bring that clone tool in, press the option tool and just paint them in. Now remember, this is quite a soft brush that I'm using at the minute. Take out the shadow. So I'm just gonna go in, and I think actually I just increase that brush a little bit so it's not 100%. I think that will do the job, but we'll have a look. Yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah, that looks good. There's no repeat patterns on there. There's a little bit of softness here, so we can just harden that up a little bit. So just go to the hardness. There we go. A little bit of a straighter edge there. And there we go. We've got rid of everyone. I think there's a guy in the corner up here. Look, that would be a test for the spot healing brush tool, because he's in shade. That might actually work. So literally, you just draw over it, squiggle over it, and it will give you a pretty good edit because it's in the dark area. But then it gives you a starting point. It's never the final result with that tool. It's okay for skin and things like that, but for textures it's a little bit different. So again, it's just about filling in the area. So I'm just copying the floor. Try and copy it as close to the area as possible. Remember, repeat patterns, there's one there. I think that will be good. So let's have a look. Yeah, I've just noticed another repeat pattern here. There. So let's just give that a clean up. There we go. And there you go. That's how you do it. Okay, so it can take a little bit of time, but if we look at the before and after, you'll see that, you know, it's not taken that long to get rid of them people, and that looks pretty good, pretty clean to me. I'd probably clean up this bit here, maybe. Yeah, just a little bit there, but that looks all right. So that's how you do it. It's just simple as that. Okay, so just use them tools and you'll be able to pretty much take anybody out of a picture. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. We look forward to seeing your images.